you are leaking power. Every time you react, every time you get offended, and every time you let a feeling dictate an action, you are running a corrupted program. You are operating on a glitch. Stop. Listen to me. The world is not happening to you. It is data, and you are processing it wrong. It is time to uninstall the emotional chaos. It is time to install the logic engine. This is the operating system for a mind that processes all conflict through a filter of pure, cold, invincible logic. Let's begin.
Chapter 1. The Glitch in the Machine. You believe you are in control. You believe you are the pilot of your own life. You wake up, you make decisions, you go to work, you interact with your family, and you tell yourself that you are a rational, thinking human being. You are wrong. Most of the time, you are not the pilot. You are the passenger. You are strapped into a vehicle that is being driven by a survival mechanism that is 50,000 years out of date. You are operating on a corrupted system. This is the first step to installing the logic engine. You must admit that your current operating system is broken. We call this the glitch. The glitch is the gap between reality and your reaction to reality. It is the moment where your biology hijacks your psychology. You need to understand something fundamental about your brain. It was not designed for happiness. It was not designed for strategic success in a corporate environment. It was not designed to navigate complex social hierarchies on the internet. Your brain was designed for one thing: survival. It was designed to keep you from being eaten by a predator in the tall grass. It interprets sudden movement, loud noises, and social rejection as immediate threats to your life. But you are not in the tall grass anymore. You are in an office. You're in traffic. You're in a living room. Yet, when stress hits, your body doesn't know the difference. Let's look at the most common example, the road rage scenario. You're driving down the highway. You are calm. You're listening to music. Suddenly, a car swerves into your lane, cutting you off. You slam on the brakes. The danger passes in exactly 1.5 seconds. You are safe. The cars did not touch. The reality, the raw data, is that nothing happened. But what happens to you? Your heart rate spikes to 120 beats per minute. Your palms sweat. Your vision narrows. Cortisol floods your bloodstream. You grip the steering wheel until your knuckles turn white. You scream, you curse, you speed up to catch the other driver. You want to teach them a lesson. You spend the next 2 hours replaying that 1.5-second event in your head. You arrive at work angry. You are short with your coworkers. You are distracted. Identify the glitch. That reaction, that anger, that is the glitch. The threat was over in 2 seconds. The emotional reaction lasted 2 hours. That is inefficient. That is illogical. That is a waste of your limited energy. You are pouring high-octane fuel into a fire that burns nothing but yourself. The logic engine looks at that scenario differently. The logic engine sees the car cut in. It applies the brakes. It confirms safety. It continues driving. That's it. There is no story, there is no villain, there is no offense taken. Because logic dictates that the other driver's incompetence has nothing to do with your value as a human being. But the glitch tells you a story. The glitch says, he disrespected me. The glitch says, I am unsafe. The glitch screams for a reaction. You must understand this rule, and I want you to burn it into your mind. Emotion is a suggestion, not a command. Repeat that. Emotion is a suggestion, not a command.
Just because you feel anger does not mean you must act angry. Just because you feel fear does not mean you must retreat. Just because you feel offended does not mean you must defend yourself. These feelings are just chemical suggestions offered by a primitive part of your brain. They are data points, nothing more. When you feel that spike, that heat in your chest, that is not the truth. That is a biological reflex. It is no different than your knee kicking when a doctor taps it with a hammer. You wouldn't base a major life decision on your knee twitching, would you? So why do you base your life decisions on your anger twitching? Most people go through their entire lives enslaved by the glitch. They are puppets. The world pulls a string, and they dance. Someone insults them, they get angry. String pulled. The economy dips, they get fearful. String pulled. They don't get the like on social media, they get depressed. String pulled. They have no agency. They have no control. They are simply reacting to stimuli like a lab rat in a maze. You are better than that. You have a choice. That's the key. You always have a choice. The moment you feel the emotion rise, you are standing at a fork in the road. Path 1 is the glitch. You let the feeling take over. You yell, you send the angry email, you sulk, you quit. You let the biology drive the car. Path 2 is the logic engine. You feel the emotion, you acknowledge it, you say, I am feeling anger right now. And then you let it pass. You do not act on it. You look at the situation with cold, hard eyes. You ask, does getting angry help me right now? Does yelling at this person improve the outcome? Does worrying about this change the future? If the answer is no, you delete the program. You override the command. This is not about suppressing your emotions. We are not robots. You will still feel things. This is about management. It's not about not feeling. It's about not becoming the feeling. When you operate from the glitch, you are fragile. You are easily manipulated. Anyone who knows how to push your buttons owns you. If I know that an insult makes you lose your temper, I can control you. I can make you look foolish. I can make you make a mistake. But if you have installed the logic engine, you are untouchable. Imagine a machine, a high-performance computer. If you type an insult into a computer console, does the computer get mad? Does it overheat? Does it shut down? No. It processes the input. If the input is irrelevant code, it ignores it. You must become the machine. You need to start viewing your immediate reactions as system errors. When you feel that sudden urge to explain yourself, that is a system error. When you feel that sudden need to be right, that is a system error. When you feel paralyzed by the opinion of others, that is a system error. Identify the glitch. Stop validating your weakness. Stop saying, well, I'm just an emotional person. No. You are an undisciplined person. There is a difference. It's not about personality. It's about discipline. It is about training your mind to pause. Here is your instruction for this phase of your transformation. For the next 24 hours, you are going to be a hunter. But you are not hunting for success, and you are not hunting for money. You are hunting for the glitch. Watch yourself. Watch your reactions. When you drop your coffee mug and it shatters, watch the anger rise. Catch it. Say to yourself, this is a glitch. The mug is broken. Being angry will not unbreak the mug. Clean it up. When your boss sends you a vague email that worries you, watch the anxiety rise. Catch it. Say to yourself, this is a glitch. I do not have enough data to be worried yet. Wait for facts. Emotion is a suggestion, not a command. You possess a prefrontal cortex, the most advanced piece of biological technology in the known universe. It allows you to plan, to analyze, to suppress impulses, and to create strategy. Use it. Do not let the lizard brain run the boardroom of your life. The lizard brain is an idiot. It only knows fight,
flight, feed, or mate. It does not know how to build an empire. It does not know how to maintain a marriage. It does not know how to build wealth. Only logic can do that. So the next time the world cuts you off in traffic, or cuts you off in a meeting, or cuts you out of a deal, do not swerve. Do not crash. Keep your hands on the wheel, stare straight ahead, recognize the adrenaline for what it is, a false signal. Let the wave hit you and let it roll past you. You are the rock, not the water. You have identified the malfunction. You know that your immediate reaction is almost always wrong. But knowing the problem is only half the battle. Now that you know you can't trust your first impulse, you need a system to handle the seconds that follow. You need to know exactly how to pause time before you make a mistake you can't undo. You have found the glitch. Now you must learn how to kill the impulse. Chapter 2. Kill the immediate response. Speed is a liability. In the modern world, you are obsessed with speed. You want faster internet, faster cars, faster service, and faster replies. You've been conditioned to believe that quick equals smart. You think the person with the fastest comeback wins the argument. You think the person who replies to the email instantly is the most efficient worker. You are wrong. In the realm of conflict and strategy, speed is not your friend. Speed is where you die. The single most dangerous moment in your life is the first second after you are provoked. That first second is a trap. It is the kill zone. That is where the glitch from Chapter 1 is strongest. When you are hit with a stimulus, an insult, a problem, a threat, your brain screams at you to do something now. It screams, defend yourself. It screams, fix it. It screams, attack. If you obey that scream, you lose. You have handed over the keys to your biology, and you have locked your logic in the trunk. You must learn to kill the immediate response. You must understand the mechanics of power. Power does not belong to the person who reacts first. Power belongs to the person who reacts best. And you cannot react best when your blood is boiling and your vision is tunneled. Do not engage. Process. Then execute. Let's look at the architecture of a mistake. Think about the last time you said something you regretted. Think about the last time you sent a text message that ruined a relationship. Think about the last time you made a rash decision that cost you money. What is the common factor? The common factor is the absence of time. You collapsed the distance between the trigger and the action. You felt the sting and you slapped back instantly. You entered the ring on their terms. The logic engine requires space to boot up. It takes time to load the program. It might only take 5 seconds, or it might take 24 hours, but it is never instant. When you eliminate the wait time, you bypass the logic engine entirely. Here's the strategy you must adopt. You must widen the gap. There is a gap between the thing that happens to you and what you do about it. In that gap lies your freedom. In that gap lies your dignity. In that gap lies your strategic advantage. The gap is where you win. Let's apply this to a specific high-stakes real-world example, the disrespectful email.
You are at work. You open your inbox. There is an email from a difficult client, or perhaps a micromanaging boss. The tone is aggressive. They are blaming you for something that isn't your fault. They are questioning your competence. They are condescending. What happens? The glitch fires. You feel the heat in your face, your ego is bruised, you feel a desperate, burning need to correct the record. You want to fight back. You start typing.
You type furiously. You type a paragraph explaining why they are wrong. You use sharp language. You hit reply all because you want witnesses to your defense. You hit send. You feel a moment of relief. That is catharsis. But 10 minutes later, the dread sets in. You realize you sounded defensive. You realize you escalated a minor issue into a war. You realize you just gave them ammunition to use against you. You lost. Now, let's run that scenario through the logic engine. You receive the email. The heat rises. You recognize the glitch. You stop. You take your hands off the keyboard. You physically stand up and walk away from the computer. You do nothing. This is the hardest thing to do. Doing nothing feels like weakness. It feels like surrender. But that's the key. It is not surrender. It is an ambush. You wait. You impose a mandatory waiting period. For a minor annoyance, you wait 10 minutes. For a major insult, you invoke the 24-hour rule. You go home. You sleep on it. You let the chemicals in your blood dissipate. The next morning, you open the draft. You read what you wanted to write. You will realize it sounds petty. You will realize it sounds emotional. Now that the emotion is gone, you can see the strategic landscape. You see that the client is just stressed. You see that the boss is just projecting. You write a response that is 3 sentences long. It is calm. It is factual. It resolves the issue without feeding the drama. You hit send. You win. You look professional. They look chaotic. The gap is where you win. Why is this so hard? Because your ego hates the gap. Your ego wants to be vindicated right now. Your ego is a child screaming for candy. The logic engine is the adult who says no. You have to train yourself to be comfortable with the silence. When someone insults you to your face, the immediate response is to insult them back. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you look them in the eye and say absolutely nothing for 5 seconds?
They panic. They expected a reaction. They expected a fight. By denying them the immediate response, you destabilize them. You force them to sit in the awkwardness of their own bad behavior. Do not engage. Process, then execute. You need to reframe how you view strength. Most people think strength is aggression. They think the tough guy is the one who yells the loudest and fastest. That is false. That is weakness disguised as volume. A dog barks at every noise it hears because it is scared. A lion does not bark. A lion watches. It's not about slowness. It's about discipline. It is about the discipline to hold your fire until you have a clear shot. Think of yourself as a sniper. A sniper does not run into the middle of the battlefield spraying bullets blindly because they are scared. A sniper lies in the mud. A sniper slows their breathing. A sniper waits for the perfect moment. The immediate response is spray and pray. The delayed response is the one shot, one kill. You have a choice. Every single day, people are going to try to bait you. The world is full of hooks. Social media is a hook. The news is a hook. Your family drama is a hook. They are dangling these hooks in front of you, waiting for you to bite. When you bite immediately, you are caught. When you refuse to bite, when you look at the hook, analyze it, and swim past it, you remain free. So here is your behavioral instruction. This is what you must do starting today. You are going to practice the tactical pause. Every time someone asks you a question, wait 2 seconds before you answer. Every time your phone buzzes, wait 5 minutes before you check it. Every time you feel the urge to correct someone, stop and count to 10.
You are training your brain to tolerate the gap. You are building the muscle of patience. You are proving to yourself that the world will not end if you do not react instantly. You don't need their permission to take your time. You don't owe anyone an instant reaction. Your time is your property. Your mind is your territory. When you react instantly, you are letting them invade your territory. Guard the gate. When you kill the immediate response, you create a vacuum. And in that vacuum, you can finally think. You can finally switch on the logic engine. And once the engine is running, you can look at the situation and see it for what it truly is. Most people react to the story they tell themselves about what happened. He hates me. This is a disaster. It's unfair. But the logic engine doesn't care about the story. It cares about the data. You have learned to stop the car. You have learned to kill the engine of emotion. Now you are sitting in the silence of the gap. What do you do next? How do you analyze the situation without the pollution of your feelings? You need to learn how to separate the facts from the fiction. You need to learn how to strip a situation down to its bare metal components. You mastered the pause. Now, let's talk about the analysis.
Chapter 3. Extract the data. Ignore the story. You are a liar. You lie to yourself all day long. You look at the world, and instead of seeing what is actually there, you see what you fear is there, or what you hope is there. You take a simple neutral event, and you wrap it in a thick layer of fiction. You turn a rainy day into a personal curse. You turn a rude comment into a character assassination. You turn a failure into a prophecy of doom. You are addicted to storytelling. And this addiction is keeping you weak. The logic engine does not tell stories. The logic engine processes facts. If you want to stop suffering, you must learn to separate the objective reality from the subjective nightmare you are creating in your head. What is the raw data? That is the question you must ask 10 times a day. Most of the pain you experience does not come from reality. It comes from the meaning you attach to reality. It comes from the narrative. Let's look at the equation of misery. Event plus narrative equals emotion. The event is neutral. The narrative is the interpretation. The emotion is the result. If you change the narrative, you change the emotion. If you delete the narrative entirely, you eliminate the unnecessary suffering. Let's take the most painful example possible. A breakup or a romantic rejection. You meet someone. You like them. After 3 dates, they stop texting you. Or after 3 years, they leave you. The event, the raw data, is simple. One human being decided to end a contract of association with another human being. That is it. That is the only thing that happened in the physical universe. But that's not what you experience, is it? You experience a tragedy. You spin a story. The narrative says, I am unlovable. The narrative says, I will be alone forever. The narrative says, they left because I am not attractive enough, or rich enough, or funny enough. The narrative says, I have been abandoned. This story destroys you. It cripples your self-esteem. It makes you depressed. It makes you desperate. You spend weeks analyzing every text message, looking for the clues to your unworthiness. Delete the narrative. Look at the raw data. What actually happened?
Data. Person A and Person B had a relationship. Person A determined that the compatibility variables were insufficient for a long-term continuation. Person A terminated the arrangement. That is the data. Does the data say you are ugly? No. Does the data say you are unlovable? No. Does the data say you will die alone? No. The data simply says incompatible variables. When you strip away the story, you strip away the suffering. You are left with a problem to solve or a reality to accept. If the variables were incompatible, logic dictates that the relationship should end. Therefore, the breakup is not a tragedy. It is a correction. It is an efficiency measure. You have a choice. You can be the tragic hero of a sad movie crying in the rain because nobody loves you. Or you can be the operator of the logic engine, who accepts that the deal didn't work, learns the lesson, and moves on to the next prospect. That's the key. It is not coldness, it is clarity. You do this everywhere. You do it in your career. Let's say you launch a business or a YouTube channel or a new project at work. It flops. Nobody watches. Nobody buys. The glitch from Chapter 1 screams. The narrative begins. I am a failure. The world is rigged against me. I am an imposter. I should just quit and go back to safety. What is the raw data? The data is you took action X. The market responded with result Y. Result Y was lower than anticipated. That is the only truth. The idea that you are a failure is a hallucination. You are not a failure. You are a scientist who ran an experiment and got a negative result. A scientist doesn't cry when the rat doesn't solve the maze. A scientist observes. A scientist records the data. The rat went left. It hit a wall. Next time, the rat should go right. But you hit the wall, and you sit down and cry about how unfair walls are. You write a poem about the wall. You make the wall about you. Delete the narrative. The wall is not about you. The market is not about you. The rejection is not about you. It is just physics. It is just cause and effect. When you stop taking things personally, you become dangerous. You become efficient. Because while your competitors are busy managing their bruised egos, you are busy analyzing the variables. Why did the project fail? Was the price too high? Was the marketing unclear? Was the timing wrong? These are logical questions. They have logical answers. They have solutions.
I am a failure has no solution. You cannot fix I am a failure. You can only pity it. But you can fix a pricing strategy. You can fix a marketing angle. Do you see the difference? It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. It is the discipline to refuse the comfort of the victim story. It feels good, in a sick way, to be the victim. It absolves you of responsibility. The world is just too hard. No, the world is just data. You need to become a minimalist of the mind. Here is your behavioral instruction. You're going to play a game called the police report. For the next week, whenever something bad happens, a flat tire, a rude waiter, a lost wallet, a difficult conversation, I want you to narrate it to yourself like a police officer writing a report. Police reports do not contain adjectives like devastating or humiliating or unfair. They contain facts, times, locations, actions. Instead of, my idiot boss humiliated me in the meeting and I felt like dying, write, at 10 a.m., the manager stated that the quarterly report was incorrect.
The manager raised his voice. I remained silent. What is the raw data? When you write the police report, you realize how small the event actually is. You realize that the humiliation was added by you. The idiot label was added by you. You are the one hurting yourself. The world just provides the props. You are the one hitting yourself over the head with them. You don't need their permission to interpret your own life. You are the editor. You can choose to cut the scene where the protagonist feels sorry for himself. You can choose to cut the scene where the protagonist reads into the subtext of a text message. Just read the text. K. That's it. It's the letter K. It doesn't mean they hate you. It doesn't mean they are mad. It means K. If you need more data, ask for more data. Does K mean you agree or are you busy? But do not invent data that isn't there. Delete the narrative. This is how you protect your energy. Narrative requires massive amounts of cognitive load. Maintaining a grudge takes energy. Maintaining a story about how unfair your childhood was takes energy. Maintaining a belief that everyone is out to get me takes energy. Data takes zero energy. Data just is. When you extract the data and ignore the story, you become lighter. You move faster. You are not carrying the baggage of 1,000 imaginary slights. You are walking through the world with a clipboard, checking boxes, adjusting dials, and moving forward. This worked, keep doing it. This didn't work, stop doing it. This person adds value, keep them. This person brings chaos, remove them. It is binary, it is clean. It is the logic engine at peak performance. Stop looking for the hidden meaning. There is no hidden meaning. There is only what happened and what you do next. The story is the trap. The data is the key. That's the key. Once you stop telling yourself stories, you will realize that 90% of the things you worry about are not facts. They are fictions. You will realize that you have been wasting your life trying to solve problems that don't exist. You have learned to pause. You have learned to strip away the story. Now you are staring at the raw data of your life, and you are going to realize something terrifying. Most of this data doesn't matter. Most of the things you are analyzing, processing, and worrying about are completely irrelevant to your mission. You are processing data that you shouldn't even be looking at. You need to filter. You need to know what to keep and what to delete. You have the facts. Now you need to learn the power of not caring about them.
Chapter 4. The Algorithm of Indifference. You are running out of battery. Every single day, you wake up with a limited amount of psychological energy. Think of it like a battery charge on your phone. You have 100%. That is all you get. Every thought, every decision, every worry, and every emotional reaction drains that battery. Most of you are dead by noon. You are bankrupting yourself energetically before you even start your real work. Why? Because you are spending your expensive energy on cheap problems. You are obsessing over things you cannot change. You are worrying about things that have not happened. You are angry about things that have nothing to do with you. You need to install a new filter in your mind. This is the algorithm of indifference. This is not about being cold. It is not about being heartless. It is about being efficient. It is about physics. If you push against a wall, you burn calories, but the wall does not move. You were tired, but you have accomplished nothing.
That is illogical. That is a bad investment. The logic engine demands that you stop pushing walls. You need to learn the most important command code in this entire operating system. Is this within my control? If no, delete. This is the binary filter for your life. Let's look at how you currently live. You wake up and you check the news. You see a story about a war on the other side of the world. You see a story about the economy crashing. You see a story about a political scandal. What do? You get angry. You get fearful. You post a comment. You argue with a stranger. You carry that heavy, dark cloud of anxiety with you into your morning meeting. Stop. Look at the data. Can you stop the war? No. Can you fix the interest rates? No. Can you control the politician? No. Is this within my control? If no, delete. Conserve your energy.
You are burning high-grade fuel to heat the outdoors. It is wasteful. When you worry about the global economy, you are not solving the economy. You are just making yourself weaker. You are diverting processing power away from the things you can control, your business, your skills, your family, your health, and sending it into a black hole of global chaos. You have a choice. You can be a spectator of the world's drama, paying for your ticket with your peace of mind, or you can be the architect of your own world. That's the key. The architect does not scream at the rain. The architect builds a roof. Most people think that caring is a virtue. They think if they worry about everything, it makes them a good person. This is a lie. Worrying does not help the victim. Being anxious does not fix the problem. All it does is degrade your performance. If you want to actually help the world, be strong, be rich, be capable. You cannot be any of those things if you are paralyzed by anxiety over headlines. Conserve your energy. This applies to the small things just as much as the big things. Traffic. You're stuck in a gridlock. You were late. You start hitting the steering wheel, you start cursing, you stress out. Why? Can you make the cars vanish? No. Can you fly? No. Is this within my control? If no, delete. The traffic is just a fact. It is gravity. You don't get mad at gravity when you drop a pen. You just pick it up. Treat the traffic like gravity. It just is. Use the time to listen to an audiobook. Use the time to think. But do not use the time to bleed energy. This brings us to the most difficult application of the algorithm: other people. You spend a massive amount of your life worrying about what other people think, what they say, and what they do. My coworker is lazy. My neighbor is loud. My family doesn't support me. Is this within my control? If no, delete. You cannot control other people. You can influence them, perhaps, but you cannot control them. When you attach your happiness to the behavior of another person, you are gambling with your sanity, and the house always wins. If your coworker is lazy, that is data. Do not get mad, document it. Work around it, or fire them if you are the boss. If you aren't the boss, ignore it. Their laziness is their problem, not yours. It only becomes your problem when you emotionally react to it.
Delete the narrative that says they should be better. People are not what they should be. They are what they are. Accept reality instantly. This is the hallmark of the logic engine. The amateur fights reality. The professional exploits reality. You need to visualize a toggle switch in your brain.
A physical switch. One side says, care. The other side says, don't care. When a new input comes in, you pause, Chapter 2. You extract the data, Chapter 3. Then you ask the question, is this within my control? If the answer is no, you slam that switch to don't care. This means you do not talk about it, you do not complain about it, you do not dwell on it. You treat it like background noise. But isn't that apathy? No, it's not about apathy. It's about focus. A laser beam cuts steel because it focuses all its energy on a single, microscopic point. If you spread that same light over a whole room, it won't even warm up your coffee. You are currently a light bulb. You are illuminating everything weekly. I want you to become a laser. I want you to burn through the obstacles that actually matter. To do that, you must go dark on everything else. Conserve your energy. Here is the behavioral instruction. You are going to perform an energy audit. Tonight, take a piece of paper. Write down every single thing that made you angry, stressed, or worried today. The news, the weather, the rude waiter, my project deadline, my weight, the comments on my post. Now, take a red pen. Cross out everything that is 100% outside of your direct control. Cross out the news. Cross out the weather. Cross out the waiter. Cross out the comments. What is left? My project deadline. My weight. These are the only things you are allowed to care about. These are the variables you can manipulate. You can work harder. You can eat better. Everything else is noise. Everything else is a vampire sucking the life out of you. You don't need their permission to disconnect. You don't need to apologize for not knowing the latest celebrity gossip. You don't need to feel guilty for not being outraged by the crisis of the week. Your ignorance of irrelevant things is your power. While everyone else is distracted, you are focused. While everyone else is panicked, you are working. This is how you build a fortress of calm. You simply refuse to let the enemy inside the gates. If you can change it, take action. Total, massive action. If you cannot change it, total, massive indifference. There is no middle ground. The middle ground is where the anxiety lives. The middle ground is where you complain. Complaining is the sound of a person who acknowledges a problem but refuses to either fix it or accept it. Complaining is a system error. It is wasted breath. Is this within my control? If no, delete. Practice this. When the urge to complain rises up your throat, choke it. Swallow it. Ask yourself, am I going to do something about this? If yes, do it. Shut up and work. If no, accept it. Shut up and move on. That's the key. Silence or action. Never complaint. Once you master the algorithm of indifference, you will feel a massive weight lift off your shoulders. You will feel a surge of energy you haven't felt in years. You will suddenly have the time and the focus to attack your real goals. But there is one thing that will fight you on this. There is one internal enemy that hates indifference. It wants you to care. It wants you to be offended. It wants you to react to every little slight. That enemy is the voice in your head that says, "But what about me? Do they know who I am?"
That enemy is your ego, and it is the biggest malfunction in your entire system. You have conserved your energy. Now you need to identify the parasite that is trying to eat it.
Chapter 5. Your ego is a system error. You think your ego is your friend. You think your ego is what makes you ambitious, strong, and successful. You believe that your ego is the armor that protects you from the world. You are mistaken. Your ego is not your armor. Your ego is a target. The bigger your ego, the bigger the target painted on your back. In the operating system of the mind, the ego is not a feature. The ego is a liability. It is a system error. It is a bug in the code that causes the machine to overheat, freeze, and crash exactly when you need it to perform. What is the ego? The ego is the part of you that demands to be right. It is the part of you that needs to be admired. It is the part of you that interprets every piece of neutral data as a personal judgment on your soul. The ego is fragile. The ego is expensive. It costs you relationships. It costs you money. It costs you peace. The logic engine has no ego. A calculator does not have an ego. If you type 2 + 2 = 5 into a calculator, it does not get offended. It simply returns an error message. It does not feel disrespected. It does not hold a grudge against you for being bad at math. It just processes the data. You must aspire to that level of indifference. Let's look at how the ego destroys your strategic advantage. Scenario: the public correction. You are in a meeting. You are pitching an idea. You are passionate. You have worked hard on this. Suddenly, a colleague, maybe someone you don't even like, interrupts you. They point out a flaw in your data. They say, "That number is wrong. You calculated the margin incorrectly." What happens? If you are running the ego program, you perceive this as an attack. You feel the adrenaline spike. Your brain shouts, "He is trying to humiliate me. He thinks he's smarter than me. I have to fight back." So you defend yourself. You argue. You double down on the wrong number just to avoid admitting a mistake. You get snarky. You say, "Well, if you had read the report correctly." You have just lost. You defended an error because your ego could not handle the truth. You prioritized looking right over being right. That is a malfunction. The ego is a liability. Now look at the same scenario through the logic engine. The colleague points out the error. That number is wrong.
The logic engine pauses. It extracts the data. Chapter 3. It ignores the tone. It asks one binary question. Is he right? If the data shows he is right, the logic engine simply says, "You are correct. I missed that. Let's update the model. Thank you." That is it. No pain, no shame, no drama. By admitting the mistake instantly, you disarm the opponent. You show that you care more about the project's success than your own vanity. You look confident. You look dangerous. Why? Because a person who owns their mistakes cannot be humiliated. You cannot shame a man who has no shame to give. You have a choice. You can protect your image, or you can protect your progress. You cannot do both. Most people spend their entire lives building a statue of themselves. They polish it. They guard it. They want everyone to bow down to it. This statue
is their reputation. They're terrified that someone will chip the paint. You are not your reputation. Your reputation is what people think you are. Your character is what you are. The ego is obsessed with reputation. The logic engine is obsessed with reality. When you operate from ego, you are easily manipulated. If I want to destroy an egotistical man, all I have to do is insult him. He will lose his mind. He will attack me blindly. He will make a mistake. If I want to control an egotistical man, all I have to do is flatter him. He will lower his guard. He will give me what I want. But you? You are installing the logic engine. You cannot be baited by insults, and you cannot be bought by flattery. You look at the insult and say, irrelevant data. You look at the flattery and say, suspicious data. The ego is a liability. It blinds you. It puts a filter over your eyes that distorts reality to make you the center of the universe. Newsflash: you are not the center of the universe. You are one variable in a complex equation. The most successful people in the world, the true titans, have mastered the art of killing the self. They don't care who gets the credit. They don't care who is right. They care about what works. If the janitor has a better idea than the CEO, the logical CEO listens to the janitor. The egotistical CEO fires the janitor for being insubordinate. Which company do you think wins in the long run? That's the key. Results over recognition. So, how do you delete this system error? How do you kill the ego? You must stop identifying with your ideas.
This is where most of you fail. You have an idea, and you merge your soul with it. This is my idea. So when someone attacks the idea, you feel like they are stabbing you. Stop that. Your ideas are not you. Your beliefs are not you. Your job title is not you. These are just tools you are carrying. If you're a carpenter and you break a hammer, do you cry? Do you feel like a failure as a human being? No. You throw the broken hammer in the trash and you get a new one. Treat your opinions like hammers. If someone proves your opinion is broken, throw it away. Don't cry over it. Don't defend it. Get a better one. It's not about humility. It's about accuracy. Humility is a soft word. I am talking about precision. It is inaccurate to believe you are perfect. It is inaccurate to believe you know everything. Therefore, when the ego says, I know everything, the ego is lying. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the ego audit. For the next 48 hours, I want you to monitor your defensive reflex. Watch for the moment someone contradicts you, critiques you, or ignores you. That flare-up, that burning need to say, do you know who I am? That is the glitch. When you feel it, I want you to do the opposite of what it wants. If the ego wants to argue, you will agree. If the ego wants to boast, you will ask a question about the other person. If the ego wants to hide a mistake, you will expose it. Say this out loud. I was wrong. Practice saying it. I was wrong. Those 3 words are the most powerful spell you can cast. They destroy the ego instantly. They terrified the weak, but they empower the strong. When you say, I was wrong, you are stating that you are now smarter than you were 5 minutes ago. You have upgraded. You don't need their permission to be right, and you certainly don't need their permission to be wrong. The world is full of fragile people walking around on eggshells, terrified of looking stupid. They are paralyzed. They never take risks because they might fail, and failure would hurt their precious ego. You are different. You are going to fail. You are going to be wrong.
You are going to be corrected. Good. That means you are in the arena. That means you are moving. The ego is a liability. Drop the weight. You can run faster without the heavy armor of self-importance. Stop trying to be a great man or a great woman. Just be a ruthless machine of improvement. A machine doesn't have feelings. A machine doesn't need a pat on the head. A machine just works. You are not your reputation. You are your output. Once you kill the ego, you lose the urge to constantly broadcast your status. The ego loves to talk. The ego loves to explain itself. The ego loves the sound of its own voice. But the logic engine knows that every word you speak is a leak of information. The logic engine knows that silence is not empty. It is strategic. You have stopped defending yourself. You have stopped worrying about how you look. Now, you need to learn how to weaponize the void. You need to learn how to make them uncomfortable with your absolute lack of noise. You have mastered the self. Now, let's master the room. Chapter 6. Silence is a strategic weapon. You talk too much. This is the most obvious symptom of a weak mind. You are terrified of the silence. You treat every pause in a conversation as a crisis that you must solve with your mouth. You babble, you over-explain, you justify your existence with a constant stream of noise. You are leaking power. Every word that leaves your mouth is a piece of information. Information is currency. When you vomit words without a strategic purpose, you are devaluing your own currency. You are telling the world that your thoughts are cheap, plentiful, and free for the taking. The logic engine operates on efficiency. It does not waste fuel, it does not waste movement, and it definitely does not waste words. You need to understand a fundamental law of human psychology. Silence is power. Silence is not empty. Silence is heavy. Silence is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. When you create a void in a conversation, the other person feels a physical compulsion to fill it. They get anxious, they get insecure, they start wondering what you are thinking. And in that moment of anxiety, they reveal themselves. Let them fill the void. Most of you use words to seek validation. You state an opinion and then you keep talking because you are afraid of the no. You are sabotaging yourself. Let's look at the classic real-world example, the high-stakes negotiation. Imagine you are sitting across the table from a client, a boss, or a buyer. You name your price. You say, "My fee is $10,000. Now stop.
The amateur, the person running the glitch, feels the tension rise in the room. 1 second passes, 2 seconds pass. It feels like an eternity. The amateur panics. They think, "Oh no, they hate it. It's too high. I have to fix this." So the amateur speaks. "I mean, we can work with the budget if that's too high. That includes a lot of services, of course. I'm flexible." You just lost. You just bid against yourself. You just told the other person that you do not believe you are worth $10,000. You gave them permission to lowball you. Now look at the operator of the logic engine. You say, "My fee is $10,000. And then you shut your mouth. You lean back, you look them in the eye, you do not blink, you do not fidget, you enter the silence. The other person feels the pressure. They're waiting for you to crack. But you don't crack. You are comfortable in the void. Now they start to panic. They start to think, "He's serious. If I don't pay this, he walks." Finally, they speak. "Okay, we can do that." Silence is power. The person who speaks first loses the leverage. The person who is comfortable with silence owns the room. That's the key. It is about comfort.
The logic engine is comfortable with data, and silence is just a pause in the data stream. It is not an emotional event. You must stop over-explaining your life to people who do not matter. Why do you feel the need to give a 3-minute speech about why you can't come to the party? I'd love to, but my cat is sick and I have this work thing and I'm really tired. Stop it. You sound guilty. You sound like a child asking a parent for permission to stay home. You don't need their permission. Just say, I can't make it. That is a complete sentence. It requires no footnotes. It requires no apology. When you over-explain, you are handing the other person hooks to argue with. If you say, I can't come because of work, they can say, oh, just come for an hour. If you say, I can't make it, there is no argument. You have stated a fact. Let them fill the void.
If they ask why, and you don't want to tell them, you can just look at them. Or you can say, it's not possible this week. This is not about being rude. It's not about rudeness. It's about discipline. It is the discipline to keep your cards close to your vest. The more you talk, the more cards you show. The less you talk, the more mysterious and formidable you become. Think about the most powerful people you have ever met. Do they talk fast? Do they ramble? Do they interrupt themselves? No. They speak slowly. They choose their words like bullets. And when they are done speaking, they stop. They do not trail off. They put a period at the end of the sentence. You need to practice the period. When you answer a question, answer it and stop. Did you finish the report? Yes. Stop. Do not add, yes, it was really hard, I had to stay up late, I hope you like it. Just yes. The logic engine provides the output requested, nothing more. This creates an aura of competence. Competence is quiet. Insecurity is loud. The person who knows what they are doing doesn't need to tell you they know what they are doing 10 times. They just do it. Silence is power. Here is your behavioral instruction. You are going to play a game called the 3-second rule. For the next 24 hours, in every conversation you have, I want you to wait 3 full seconds before you respond to anything. Someone asks you a question, count in your head 1, 2, 3. Then answer. This will feel excruciatingly long to you. It will feel like you are freezing time. But to the other person, you will appear thoughtful. You will appear controlled. You will appear confident. And crucially, that 3-second gap gives you time to engage the logic engine, Chapter 2. It prevents the glitch. It allows you to select the correct answer instead of the fast answer. And here is the second part of the instruction, the stare. When someone says something stupid, aggressive, or confusing, do not respond verbally. Just look at them. Give them 3 seconds of silence. They will almost always start talking again to fix their mistake. I mean, I didn't mean it like that. I'm just joking. Never mind. You didn't have to do anything. Your silence did the work for you. You forced them to reveal their hand, backpedal, or apologize without you uttering a single syllable. Let them fill the void. The void is a mirror. When you are silent, you force the other person to look at themselves. And usually, they don't like what they see, so they start dancing to distract themselves. Watch them dance. Gather the data. You have a choice. You can be the jester, dancing and singing and making noise to keep everyone entertained. Or you can be the king, sitting on the throne, watching the room, speaking only to command. The jester is exhausted. The king is energized. Stop giving away your energy. Stop giving away your truth to people who haven't earned it. The next time you feel the urge to fill an awkward silence, I want you to physically bite your tongue. Feel the pain. Let that pain remind you that you are leaking power. Hold the silence. Hold it until it hurts.
Hold it until the other person breaks. Because they will break. The person with the logic engine always has more endurance than the person running on the motion. That's the key. Endurance. You are building a reputation as someone who cannot be rattled, someone who thinks before they speak, someone who is dangerous because they are unreadable. But silence is just a tool. It is a way to gather information and gain leverage. Once you have that information, and once you have that leverage, you must act. You cannot stay silent forever. Eventually, the machine must produce an output. But what output? Most people act to make themselves feel better. They yell to release anger. They apologize to release guilt. The logic engine does not care about your feelings. It cares about the result. You have learned how to shut up. Now you need to learn how to act. You need to stop optimizing for relief and start optimizing for the win.
Chapter 7. Optimize for outcome, not feeling. You are an addict. You are addicted to a drug called catharsis. You believe that if you feel an emotion, you must express it. You believe that getting it off your chest is a healthy, necessary action. You believe that holding things in will make you explode. This is a lie, and it is a lie that is destroying your life. Most of the actions you take in the heat of the moment are not designed to fix the problem. They are designed to make you feel better right now. They are designed to release tension. They are designed to scratch an itch. But here is the hard truth. What feels good usually creates a bad result. The logic engine does not care about how you feel. The logic engine cares about the yield. It cares about the return on investment. It operates on a single, ruthless principle: outcome over impulse. Let's look at the mechanics of failure. You are angry at your spouse. They forgot to do something important. The tension builds in your chest. The glitch, chapter 1, fires. You have an impulse. You want to yell. You want to make a sarcastic comment. You want to slam a door. Why? Does yelling make them remember next time? No. Does sarcasm build a stronger marriage? No. Does slamming the door fix the problem? No. You do these things for one reason only: to release the pressure valve in your own head. You are using your spouse as a trash can for your emotional waste. It feels good in the second you do it. It feels powerful. It feels righteous. But what is the outcome? The outcome is resentment. The outcome is distance. The outcome is a fight that lasts 3 days. You traded 5 seconds of emotional release for 3 days of misery. That is a bad trade. That is bad business. Does this get me closer to the objective? If the objective is have a happy marriage, then yelling is a strategic error. If the objective is raise confident children, then screaming at them for spilling milk is a strategic error.
You must learn to separate the relief from the result. You have a choice. You can be a person who vents, or you can be a person who wins. You cannot be both. The operator of the logic engine suppresses the urge to vent. This is painful. It requires strength. When you are angry, silence burns. Politeness burns. But you endure the burn because you are focused on the long game. Outcome over impulse. Let's move this to the workplace. You have a client who is wrong. They are demanding something stupid. They are arrogant. Your impulse is to correct them. Your impulse is to prove that you are smarter than them. Your impulse is to win the argument. If you follow that impulse, you might win the argument. You will feel a rush of superiority. You will feel right. but you will lose the contract. You will lose the money. Does this get me closer to the objective? If the objective is get paid, then proving them wrong is illogical. The logical move is to smile, nod, navigate around their ego, and close the deal. You sacrifice your need to be right in exchange for the outcome of being rich. That is the trade a grown-up makes. Children want to be right. Leaders want to succeed. That's the key. You need to stop asking yourself, what do I want to do? You need to start asking, what must happen? This requires you to become a cold-blooded strategist of your own behavior. You must view your own actions as chess moves. If I move my pawn here, yell, I lose my queen, trust. If I move my pawn here, calmly explain, I keep my position. It is simple cause and effect, but you are so blinded by the need for catharsis that you flip the board over every time you get frustrated. It's not about suppression, it's about discipline. People will tell you, but it's unhealthy to bottle up emotions.
Let me be clear. I am not telling you to ignore the problem. I am telling you to solve the problem effectively. Screaming is not solving. Panic is not solving. Moping is not solving. Solving looks like this. You feel the anger. You pause, chapter 2. You ask, does this get me closer to the objective? If the answer is no, you swallow the impulse. You delete it. You select the action that actually leads to the solution. This is often the boring action. It is boring to be patient with a toddler. It is boring to be polite to a rude customer. It is boring to stick to a diet when you want to eat pizza. Eating the pizza is the impulse. It provides immediate pleasure. Outcome, fat. Not eating the pizza is the discipline. It provides immediate discomfort. Outcome, health. Outcome over impulse. You are constantly optimizing for the short term. You are optimizing for the next 5 minutes. I want to feel good now. The logic engine optimizes for the next 5 years. You must become time agnostic. You must treat the future version of yourself as more important than the present version of yourself. The present version of you wants to sleep in. The future version of you wants to be successful. The present version of you wants to send a nasty text to your ex. The future version of you wants dignity. Who wins, the addict or the architect? You don't need their permission to change the way you fight. People around you might be used to your reactions. They might know which buttons to push to get the explosion. They are playing a game with you. When you switch to outcome mode, you break the game. Imagine someone is trying to pick a fight with you. They insult you. They prod you. They are expecting the explosion, but you run the calculation. Objective, maintain peace and dignity. Action, ignore them. You look at them, shrug, and walk away. You denied yourself the pleasure of the fight, but you achieved the outcome of peace. You won. This is what it means to be unimpeachable. It means your behavior is so perfectly aligned with your goals that your emotions cannot derail you. Here is your behavioral instruction. You are going to use the 5-second simulation. Before you take any significant action, sending an email, making a purchase, confronting a person, I want you to run a mental movie of what happens next. Don't think about how it feels to press send. Think about what happens after you press send. Scene 1, you send the angry email. Scene 2, the boss reads it. Scene 3, the boss calls HR. Scene 4, you are fired. Is that the objective? No. Rewind. Run a new simulation. Scene 1, you wait 24 hours. You write a professional, data-backed email. Scene 2, the boss reads it. Scene 3, the boss respects your composure. Scene 4, the issue is resolved. Does this get me closer to the objective? Yes. Execute. This simulation takes 5 seconds, but those 5 seconds will save you years of regret. Most people live life in a reactive blur. They are pinballs bouncing off bumpers, flashing lights and making noise, going wherever gravity takes them. You are the player. You control the flippers. You decide where the ball goes. Stop reacting to the noise. Start designing the result. If an action does not pay rent, evict it. If an emotion does not build equity, suppress it. If a conversation does not produce value, end it. Outcome over impulse. Be ruthless with your own behavior. Do not let yourself get away with tantrums. You are not a child. You are a machine of purpose. A machine does not overheat just because it is working hard. A machine maintains its temperature to ensure maximum efficiency. But what happens when you run the simulation and you realize the outcome is impossible? What happens when you look at a situation, a job, a relationship, a city, and you realize that no matter what action you take, the objective cannot be reached? What happens when the logic says, this is a dead end? Then you have reached the point of the ultimate decision. You have reached the fork in the road where most people set up camp and complain for the rest of their lives. But you are not going to complain. You are going to make the only 2 choices that exist in reality.
Chapter 8. The binary choice. Accept or change. You are stuck in purgatory. Purgatory is not a place you go when you die. Purgatory is a place you create while you are alive. It is the gray zone between misery and action. It is the place where you acknowledge that something is wrong, but you refuse to do anything about it. In this place, there is one dominant sound, the sound of complaining. Complaining is the language of the defeated. It is the sound of a person who has surrendered their agency, but wants to keep their pride. You complain because it makes you feel like you're doing something. You think that by pointing out the problem, you are solving it. You are wrong. Complaining is a malfunction. It is a waste heat generated by a stalling engine. The logic engine does not recognize the gray zone. The logic engine is binary. It operates on ones and zeros, true and false, on and off. When it comes to the problems in your life, your job, your relationship, your body, your bank account, the logic engine offers you exactly 2 paths. Path 1, total acceptance. Path 2, radical change. Accept or change. There is no third option. This is the rule that will save your life, but it is a rule that you will hate because it strips you of your favorite hobby, feeling sorry for yourself. Let's look at the most common example. The job you hate. Millions of you wake up every morning dreading the day. You hate your boss, you hate the commute, you hate the pay, you hate the culture. So, what do? You go to work, you sit at your desk, and you suffer. Then, you go to lunch with your coworkers, and you complain. Can you believe what he said? They don't pay us enough. This place is a sinking ship. Then you go home, you complain to your spouse, you watch Netflix to numb the pain, and you wake up and do it again. This is insanity. This is a glitch. You are validating a reality you claim to despise. By staying, you are voting yes. But by complaining, you are voting no. You are tearing yourself apart from the inside. You must apply the binary choice.
Option A, change. If the job is toxic, leave, quit, update your resume, start a side business, cut your expenses, move to a cheaper city. Do whatever is necessary to remove yourself from the environment. Is it scary? Yes. Is it risky? Yes. But it is logical. If the environment is poison, the organism must move. Stop complaining, start solving. Option B, accept. Maybe you can't quit. Maybe you have a mortgage, 3 kids, and debt. Maybe the job market is tight. Fine, then you choose total acceptance. This does not mean you like it. It means you stop resisting it. You say, I am choosing to stay here because I need the money. This job is a transaction. I sell my time, they give me cash. That is the deal. Once you accept the deal, you lose the right to complain. You do the work, you smile, you take the check. You view the annoyance of the boss as the tax you pay for the salary. You make peace with the reality. Accept or change. There is no third option. The third option is where you currently live. The third option is stay and complain. This is the option of the coward. You stay because you are too scared to leave, but you complain because you are too arrogant to submit. You want the safety of the paycheck and the pride of the rebel. You have a choice. Pick one. If you choose to stay, own it. Say, I am staying. If you choose to leave, own it. Say, I am leaving. But do not stand in the doorway blocking traffic and whining about the draft. That's the key. Ownership. This applies to your relationships. You are in a relationship with someone who is messy or loud or bad with money. You spend years trying to fix them. You nag, you fight, you resent them. Stop. Look at the data. This person is who they are. They have shown you the data for years. Accept or change. Either accept that they are messy, love them anyway, and pick up the socks yourself without bitterness, or leave and find someone who is tidy. But do not stay and punish them for being who they are. That is torture for them, and it is poison for you. You don't need their permission to make this choice. You don't need the world to agree with you. You just need to look at the variables and execute the code. Why do so many people choose the third option? Why do they choose to complain? Because change is hard, change requires risk, change means you might fail. And acceptance is hard, acceptance requires humility, acceptance means killing the ego.
Complaining is easy. Complaining costs nothing. Complaining gets you sympathy. People love to gather in groups and share their misery. It's a social bonding ritual. My life is hard. Oh, mine is harder. Get away from those people. They are anchors. They are dragging you down to the bottom of the ocean. Stop complaining. Start solving. If you are fat, do not complain about genetics. Eat less, run more, change. Or decide that you love pizza more than abs and buy bigger clothes. Accept. But do not eat the pizza and cry about the abs. If you are broke, do not complain about the economy. Learn a skill, work more hours, change. Or decide that you prefer free time over money and live cheaply. Accept. But do not watch TV for 4 hours a night and cry about being poor. It is brutal? Yes. Is it cold? Yes. But it is the only way to be free. Freedom comes from the alignment of your reality and your desires. When you change, you align reality to your desire. When you accept, you align your desire to reality. When you complain, you are at war with reality. And reality always wins. It's not about happiness, it's about alignment. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the binary audit. Take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down everything you have complained about in the last month. My car is old. My back hurts. My wife doesn't listen. My team is incompetent. Now, go through the list one by one. Apply the binary choice. My car is old. Choice: buy a new one, change, or drive it with gratitude that it runs, accept. If you can't afford a new one, you must choose acceptance. Cross it off the list. You are never allowed to complain about the car again. My team is incompetent. Choice: fire them, train them, change, or do the work yourself, lower expectations, accept. Make the call. Accept or change. There is no third option. If you find an item on the list where you refuse to accept it, but you are also too scared to change it, look at that item, stare at it. That item is the source of your weakness. That item is where your spirit is dying. You must resolve it. You have a choice. You can spend the next 10 years being the victim of that circumstance, or you can spend the next 10 minutes making a plan. The moment you stop complaining, you get your power back. When you say, I accept this, you are in control. You chose to be there. When you say, I am changing this, you are in control. You are moving. The victim narrative dissolves. You are no longer a passenger, you are the driver. But be warned, the binary choice is dangerous. Acceptance is relatively safe. It just requires swallowing your pride. But change? Change is a beast. When you choose change, when you quit the job, end the relationship, or start the gym, you are going to encounter a new variable. You are going to encounter resistance. You are going to encounter suffering. The moment you step out of the comfort of the complaint zone and into the reality of action, you are going to feel pain. Most people feel that pain and run back to safety. They think the pain means something is wrong. The logic engine knows better. The logic engine knows that pain is not a stop sign. You have made the choice to change. Now you must learn how to endure the cost of that change.
Chapter 9. Pain is just feedback. You have a defective relationship with pain. From the moment you were born, you were taught to avoid it. If something hurts, pull your hand away. If something is scary, run away. If something is hard, quit. You have been conditioned to view discomfort as a warning sign, a giant red flashing light that says, danger, stop immediately. This conditioning is keeping you small. It is keeping you weak. The logic engine interprets pain differently. It does not see pain as a stop sign. It sees pain as a sensor. When a dashboard light turns on in your car, do you scream? Do you abandon the car on the side of the road? No. You read the light. Check engine. Low tire pressure. It is just data. It is telling you exactly what needs attention. Pain is information. That is the only definition you are allowed to use from this moment forward. When you feel anxiety, that is information. It tells you that you are unprepared. When you feel confusion, that is information. It tells you that you are at the edge of your current understanding. When you feel physical fatigue, that is information. It tells you that your capacity is being tested. The emotional mind feels pain and says, I am suffering. The logical mind feels pain and says, I am upgrading. You have a choice. You can treat pain like an enemy to be avoided, or you can treat it like a teacher to be exploited. Let's look at the most basic example, physical fitness. You go to the gym. You lift a heavy weight. On the 8th repetition, your muscles start to burn. Your heart pounds. Your brain starts screaming at you. The glitch, chapter 1, kicks in. It says, this hurts. Put the weight down, go home, sit on the couch. Most people obey the glitch. They stop exactly when it gets hard. But the logic engine knows the physiology of growth. Logic knows that the muscle fiber only grows when it is damaged. The burn you feel is not an injury. It is the feeling of weakness leaving the body. It is the feeling of the limit being pushed back. If you stop when it hurts, you have wasted your time. You did the work, but you didn't get the reward. The reward is in the pain. The obstacle is the path. The resistance is not something that stands in the way of the result. The resistance is the result. This applies to your mind just as much as your muscles.
Think about learning a new skill. Maybe you are trying to learn a new language, or coding, or how to run a complex business. You sit down to study. You read a page. You don't understand it. You feel stupid. You feel a headache coming on. You feel the urge to check your phone. That feeling, that frustration, that is mental pain. And what do? You quit. You say, I'm not good at this. You say, I'm not a math person. delete the narrative. That feeling of frustration is not proof that you are stupid. It is proof that your brain is building new neural pathways. It is the feeling of cognitive load. It is supposed to hurt. If it didn't hurt, you wouldn't be learning. You would just be reviewing what you already know. Pain is information. The information is current processing power insufficient. System needs to expand. So you don't quit. You stare at the page. You read it again. You embrace the headache. You push through the confusion until the concept clicks. That's the key. The click only happens after the struggle. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It is about the discipline to stay in the pocket of discomfort long enough for the adaptation to occur. Most of you are living within a comfort circle. Everything inside the circle is easy. You know how to do your current job. You know how to talk to your current friends. You know what food you like. But everything you want, wealth, fitness, respect, mastery, is outside the circle. To get them, you have to cross the border, and the border is guarded by pain. The logic engine views the comfort circle as a prison. If you are comfortable, you are stagnating. A machine that is not being used rusts. A mind that is not being challenged rots. You need to start hunting for the pain. When you are in a meeting and you are afraid to speak up, your heart races. That is fear. That is pain. Pain is information. The information is, I am afraid of judgment. The logical action is speak up immediately. Do exactly what the fear is telling you not to do. Why? Because by speaking up, you kill the fear. You expand your territory. The obstacle is the path.
If you run from the obstacle grows. If you face the obstacle disappears. You need to understand that avoiding pain is actually the most painful route of all. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. You avoid the pain of the gym for an hour? Fine. Now you have to carry the pain of being unhealthy for 40 years. You avoid the pain of a difficult conversation with your spouse? Fine. Now you have to carry the pain of a toxic marriage for a decade. You avoid the pain of starting your business? Fine. Now you have to carry the pain of poverty for a lifetime. You have a choice. Pick your pain. You cannot escape it. You can only choose which type you want to carry. Do you want the sharp, short pain of growth, or do you want the dull, chronic, endless ache of mediocrity? The logic engine chooses the sharp pain every single time. It is efficient, it is productive, it ends. You don't need their permission to struggle. Society tells you that life should be easy. Take a pill, buy this product, hack the system. They are selling you comfort. They are selling you atrophy. Do not buy it. When you see a person who is successful, fit, and sharp, you are looking at a person who has a very high tolerance for pain. They have calluses on their hands and calluses on their minds. They didn't get there by being comfortable. They got there by walking through the fire. The obstacle is the path. Here is your behavioral instruction. This is the +1 protocol. For the next week, whenever you feel the urge to stop, I want you to do one more. When you are running and you want to stop, run 1 more minute. When you are reading and you want to close the book, read 1 more page. When you are working and you want to clock out, send 1 more email. You need to train your brain to realize that the signal, I can't do anymore, is a lie. It is a safety limiter set at 40%. You have 60% left in the tank.
Pain is information. And usually the information is, system is at 40% capacity. Override the limiter. When you push past that first wave of pain, you enter a new zone. Athletes call it the second wind. The logic engine calls it flow state. It is the state where the noise disappears, the glitch shuts down, and you are purely operating on will. This is where champions live. This is where the work gets done. It's not about masochism, it's about expansion. You are not hurting yourself for no reason. You are tearing down the old structure to build a skyscraper. Stop looking for the easy way out. There is no easy way out. There is only the way through. The fire is hot. Burn. The weight is heavy. Lift. The problem is hard. Solve. Pain is information. Once you start seeing pain as just another data point, as just a neutral sensation that indicates growth, you become unstoppable. Nothing can deter you. If you fail, it hurts, but you learn. If you are rejected, it stings, but you adapt. You become an engine that runs on any fuel. Success fuels you. Failure fuels you. Pain fuels you. But there is one final component you need. You have the logic. You have the control. You have the pain tolerance. But none of this matters if you only do it once. None of this matters if you do it for a week and then quit. The logic engine is not a sprint. It is a perpetual motion machine. It must run every single day without fail, forever. You have learned to endure the pain. Now you must learn to endure the repetition.
Chapter 10. The Permanent Upgrade. You have reached the final stage. You have identified the glitch. You have learned to pause. You have stripped away the stories, ignored the noise, and embraced the pain. You have the tools. But tools are useless if you leave them in the shed. Most people treat self-improvement like a vacation. They visit the land of discipline for a week. They get up early on Monday, they eat clean on Tuesday, and they control their temper on Wednesday. They feel good. They feel successful. And then Thursday comes. They get tired. They get stressed. The old habits creep back in. They say, "I'll take a break. I've been good." And by Friday, they are back in the mud. They are back to being reactive, emotional, and weak. This is not a vacation. This is an immigration. You are not visiting the logic engine. You are moving in. You are not trying a new technique. You are fundamentally altering your source code. This is the new standard. If you only use logic when it is easy, you are not logical. You are a hobbyist. Anyone can be calm when the sea is smooth. Anyone can be focused when the coffee is fresh and the inbox is empty. That counts for nothing. The logic engine is built for the storm. It is built for the days when you are exhausted, broke, heartbroken, and sick. That is when the code must run. You need to stop thinking of yourself as a person with feelings who's trying to do better. You need to start thinking of yourself as a machine of purpose. A machine does not have off days. Look at the real world. Look at the sunrise. Does the sun wake up in the morning and say, "I'm not feeling it today"? Does the sun say, "I'm a little depressed. I think I'll stay behind the horizon"? Does the sun need a motivational video to do its job? No. It rises. It rises when there is war. It rises when there is peace. It rises whether you are watching or sleeping. It generates heat and light with absolute, terrifying indifference to how it feels. Consistency is the only currency. In the marketplace of life, talent is cheap, intelligence is common, but reliability is rare.
Reliability is gold.
When you are consistent, when you are the same person every single day, you become a force of nature. You become like gravity. Gravity doesn't take the weekend off. If you drop a pen on a Saturday, it hits the floor. If you drop it on a Tuesday, it hits the floor. Gravity is not trying to pull the pen down, it just is. You must become gravity. Your word must be law. Your schedule must be iron. Your emotional control must be absolute. That's the key. Predictability. When you are emotional, you are unpredictable. People don't know which version of you they are going to get. Are they getting the happy you, the angry you, the anxious you? They have to walk on eggshells around you. They cannot trust you. When you are logical, you are predictable. You are boring. And in business, in leadership, and in life, boring is effective. Boring is safe. Boring is profitable. This is the new standard. You are deleting the option to revert to your old self. The old you is dead. The old you, the one who complained, the one who reacted, the one who quit when it hurt, that person no longer exists. Do not mourn them. They were weak. You are now running version 2.0, and version 2.0 does not have a back button. You have a choice. You can be a fluctuating wave, up and down, controlled by the weather and the opinions of others. Or you can be a straight line. The straight line cuts through the chaos. The straight line gets from point A to point B, while the wave is wasting energy going sideways. It's not about perfection, it's about discipline. You will still feel the glitch. You are biological. You will still have the flash of anger. You will still have the pang of fear. That will never go away completely, but the reaction stops. The behavior changes. The amateur feels fear and stops. The professional feels fear and moves. The amateur feels tired and sleeps. The professional feels tired and works. Consistency is the only currency.
You must create a non-negotiable list. These are the things you do no matter what. No matter if you are sick, sad, or traveling. I work out. I do not yell. I deliver on time. There is no debate. There is no negotiation with the weakness in your brain. When the alarm goes off, you do not ask yourself, "Do I want to get up?" You just get up. The question is a trap. The moment you ask yourself what you want, you are inviting the glitch back in. The logic engine does not ask what you want. It asks what is required. You don't need their permission to be this intense. People will tell you to relax. They will say, "You're too serious." They will say, "Live a little." What they mean is, "Come back down here in the mud with us. Your discipline is making us look bad." Ignore them. Delete the narrative. They are operating on the old software. They are slaves to their impulses. They are eating the sugar, buying the junk, screaming at the TV, and wondering why they are miserable. You have escaped the matrix. You have seen the code. Do not let them drag you back in. This is the new standard. And here is the beautiful truth about the permanent upgrade. It gets easier. The first day of the logic engine is a war. The first week is a struggle. The first month is a grind. But eventually it becomes who you are. Eventually it becomes harder to be lazy than to be disciplined. Eventually it becomes harder to lose your temper than to keep it. You rewire the neural pathways. You pave the road. The behavior becomes automatic. You become the person who automatically pauses. You become the person who automatically seeks the solution. And when you reach that point, you are free. Real freedom is not doing whatever you feel like. That is slavery to your impulses. Real freedom is the ability to command yourself.
Real freedom is knowing that no matter what the world throws at you, tragedy, loss, chaos, you will not break, you will process, you will execute, you will win. Consistency is the only currency. So, look in the mirror. Who are you? Are you a leaf blowing in the wind? Or are you the wind? The leaf goes where it is pushed. The wind goes where it wants. The logic engine is the wind. You have installed the system. You have learned the commands. The manual is complete. There is nothing left to learn. There is only one thing left to do. You have to turn it on, and you have to leave it on forever. You are ready. The theory is over. The practice begins. Let's wrap this up.
The installation is complete. You now understand the difference between the noise of your emotions and the signal of your logic. The next time you feel the heat of anger, the hollow pit of sadness, or the spike of anxiety, you will not react. You will pause. You will engage the logic engine. You will ask, what is the data? What is the outcome? What is the move? Most people will live and die as slaves to their chemistry. They will be pushed around by the world, reactive and weak. That is no longer you. You are a strategist. You are a cold, calculating force of nature. The old you is dead. The new system is online. Do not let the code degrade. Do not let the glitch return. Go out there, ignore the noise, and execute the mission. Start now.